Charlene Hobbs, a 35-year-old woman, disappeared on July 24, 2024, from Riversdale in Cardiff, Wales. Her sudden absence has left her family deeply concerned, and despite ongoing efforts by law enforcement, her whereabouts remain unknown. Authorities have considered multiple possibilities regarding what might have happened to her, but no solid conclusions have been reached. After Charlene was reported missing, investigators launched an extensive search operation covering multiple locations, including residential homes, abandoned buildings, outdoor spaces, and vehicles. However, none of these searches provided any clear leads. Among the unusual findings in the case was a burned-out Nissan Micra, originally red but later repainted black. This vehicle was discovered in St. Helens, near Albany, and while it is unclear whether Charlene had any connection to the car, authorities have continued to examine its significance in the case. Adding another layer of mystery, 3 individuals, a 43-year-old man, a 45-year-old man, and a 38-year-old woman, were taken into custody in connection with the investigation. However, they were later released on bail, and their identities have not been disclosed to the public. Their exact involvement remains uncertain, but police are continuing to follow all possible leads. CCTV footage captured Charlene at a Morrison's supermarket in Moira Place, Adamstown, shortly before her disappearance. Investigators released an image from this footage in hopes that someone would recognize her or remember seeing her that day, but unfortunately, it did not generate any new leads. A few days later, another photo surfaced, taken with a mobile phone. In this image, Charlene is wearing the same black strapless top and has her hair styled in a bun, just as she appeared in the supermarket footage. This second photo was taken on Broadway, Adamstown, at exactly 6:07 a.m. on July 24th, the day she vanished. However, no one has come forward with any information regarding what happened to her after this moment. Authorities have not disclosed whether the phone used to take the picture belonged to Charlene or someone else. However, they have confirmed that they analyzed a mobile device for further clues. Their investigation revealed that Charlene had made several calls and sent multiple text messages to people she knew on the day she disappeared, possibly arranging to meet with someone. However, it remains unclear whether she successfully spoke to anyone or if she disclosed her location at the time. As the investigation continues, law enforcement officials have assured the public that they are pursuing every possible angle. They plan to conduct door-to-door inquiries, speak with Charlene's friends and family, and carefully review CCTV footage from the areas where she was last seen. Despite these efforts, they remain open-minded about the circumstances of her disappearance. Since it is still unknown whether Charlene went missing voluntarily, or if something more sinister took place, police have urged anyone who was in contact with her on July 24th to step forward. Any information, no matter how small, could help piece together her last known movements. Charlene's family is growing increasingly desperate for answers. They have pleaded with the public for help, asking that anyone who sees her or knows anything about her disappearance contact the authorities immediately. While a full physical description has not been released, she was last seen wearing a black strapless top. One of her most recognizable features is a distinctive dragon tattoo located between her shoulder blades. If you have any information about Charlene's movements on the day she went missing or know where she might be, please call Crime Stoppers at 08 0055 5111 to submit a tip. Your help could be crucial in bringing her home safely. The search for 27-year-old Jack McLennan, who vanished while on a camping trip with a friend, has unfortunately been scaled back after weeks of unsuccessful efforts to find him. Jack, a resident of Australia's Sunshine Coast, was last seen on October 4th, 2024, at a well-known fishing location called Fixed Crossing, situated near Mergen in Queensland. Jack worked as a personal trainer in Kingaroy and had informed his family about his plans before setting off on the fishing trip. He assured them he would return home later that afternoon. However, when he failed to come back that evening and there was still no sign of him the following day, his family grew increasingly worried. Concerned for his safety, they contacted the authorities and officially reported him missing. According to reports, Jack and his friend arrived at Fixed Crossing, where they spent some time drinking and using a swing that hung over the water. His devastated mother later shared that they had simply been enjoying themselves when, without warning, Jack disappeared. As soon as authorities were notified, an extensive search operation was launched. Police officers, state emergency service volunteers, and specialized search teams scoured the area where Jack had last been seen. However, despite their best efforts, no trace of him was found. For 2 weeks, teams combed through the dense terrain and waterways, hoping to uncover any clue that could indicate what had happened to him. Finally, after days of searching, investigators discovered Jack's hat and shoes near the fishing spot. While this confirmed that he had been in that specific location at some point, it did not provide any answers as to where he might have gone next or what had happened to him. As part of the investigation, police released CCTV footage from a liquor store in Mergen, recorded on the day of his disappearance. The footage showed Jack wearing the same clothes he had on when he left for the trip. In the video, he appeared to be in good spirits, even giving a store employee a thumbs up before heading out. Despite these findings, Jack remains missing, and over a month has now passed without any clear explanation for his disappearance. With little evidence to go on, his family has started to fear that he may have been the victim of foul play. His girlfriend, Carly Beam, expressed her deep concerns to the media, stating that Jack would never just vanish without a trace. She described him as a highly intelligent person who was familiar with the outdoors and not someone who would easily get lost. Given this, she and his loved ones have begun to suspect that he may have encountered someone with bad intentions and that he was harmed as a result. The family strongly believes that someone in the area may have witnessed or heard something on the day he disappeared, but, for reasons unknown, has yet to come forward. Meanwhile, the friend who had accompanied Jack on the trip has fully cooperated with the police, but has been unable to provide any information that could help locate him. Following the decision to scale back the search, homicide detectives took over the case and are now leading the investigation. Authorities informed Jack's family that there had been a possible sighting of him walking towards Woorolin, but this has never been officially confirmed. Adding to the family's distress, they have expressed dissatisfaction with how the police have handled the case. According to them, the search did not begin until several days after they first reported Jack missing, and when it was finally called off, they received little to no further updates. However, law enforcement has denied these claims, insisting that they have been in constant communication with his loved ones and that they remain committed to solving the case. Investigators have also urged an individual who was reportedly camping in the area at the time to come forward, though they have not disclosed whether this person has done so. One other detail that could be relevant to Jack's disappearance is a conversation he had with his mother Kelly before going missing. At some point during his trip, Jack mentioned that he had hit his head. His mother immediately offered to pick him up, but he declined. It remains unclear whether this incident played any role in what happened to him. Authorities are urging anyone who may have seen Jack or has any information about his disappearance to contact their local police department immediately. Even the smallest detail could help provide answers and bring closure to his worried family. The disappearance of Kazimiera Zaremba is an extremely sad and disturbing missing person case. Kazimiera was 79 years old when she vanished without a trace in 2012. The last known photo of her was captured by a security camera in Lithuania, showing her wandering around a car park where she had been abandoned before her mysterious disappearance. Kazimiera lived in Poland. She was a devout Catholic and attended church every day. She had a family of her own, including a daughter, but she treated the vicar, Father Kartus, like a son. He was even invited to family meals. Kazimiera felt safe with Kartus and had no concerns when she decided to go on a pilgrimage with her church group. The trip would take the practitioners to Vilnius, Lithuania. The church's name translates to the Chapel of the Gate of Dawn, a popular site for religious tourists, especially those from Poland. It took 2 days for the group to reach Vilnius. During that time, Kazimiera began acting strangely and allegedly talked about going home early. However, she ultimately decided to continue the journey to the church. On September 29th, Kazimiera was last seen by her church group. While attending Mass, she left to use the bathroom. When the service ended, Kazimiera was nowhere to be found. Father Kartus tried calling her cell phone, but that was when he discovered she had left it at home. With no way to contact her, the group waited between 15 and 30 minutes before deciding to leave for the hotel. Later that evening, the tour guide returned to search for Kazimiera. The rest of the group, however, allegedly did not express much concern. The tour guide soon discovered that Kazimiera had not simply gone to the bathroom. She'd purchased postcards from a souvenir shop and told the vendor that she needed to go to another store to buy stamps. When police launched an investigation, they reviewed CCTV footage from the area. It revealed that Kazimiera had returned to the parking lot shortly after the group left. She remained there until the evening, seemingly waiting for someone to return for her. Between 3 and 6 in the morning, Kazimiera was spotted at a gas station, 6 kilometers from the chapel. Due to the language barrier, the workers were unable to understand her, and she eventually left without receiving any assistance. It is believed that Kazimiera then walked back to the chapel. She was seen again on camera, but this time she was without her bag, hat, or coat. At one point, she attempted to get help from a janitor, but he reportedly assumed she was intoxicated and did not offer assistance. Since that moment, Kazimiera has not been seen again. Her family traveled to Lithuania to conduct their missing persons search. They searched hospitals, homeless shelters, and care homes, but there was no trace of Kazimiera. She remains a missing person to this day. Santra Saju, a 22-year-old woman from Edinburgh, has been missing for nearly 2 months, and her family is growing increasingly worried. Despite multiple appeals from the police, no one has been able to determine her whereabouts. Investigators have released a CCTV image of Santra, hoping someone might recognize her and provide useful information. She was last seen on December 6, 2024, in the South Gyle area of Edinburgh. Later that evening, she was spotted in the Burnvale area of Livingston around 8:30 p.m. This sighting was followed by a confirmed appearance at an Asda store in Almondvale, Livingston, sometime between 9:10 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. That was the last time anyone saw her. Since then, there's been no contact, which is extremely out of character. Further investigation revealed that, before arriving at the supermarket, Santra had traveled to a house in Burnvale, where she had picked up 2 bags, one black and one white shopping bag. However, when she was later seen on CCTV inside Asda, she no longer had them. Authorities have not disclosed whether they know what was inside the bags or who gave them to her. The fact that she was later seen without them raises questions about whether she left them somewhere for later retrieval or handed them over to someone else. Santra's family is desperate for answers. They have described her as someone who always stays in touch with loved ones, making her sudden disappearance deeply concerning. They fear she may have been harmed and are pleading with the public for any information that could help find her. In case Santra herself sees their messages, they have urged her to reach out in any way, just to let them know she is safe. On Friday, December 27th, 2024, at approximately 11:55 a.m., Police Scotland was alerted to the discovery of a body in the water near Newbridge. Formal identification has yet to take place. However, the family of 22-year-old Santra Saju has been informed, police stated. At this time, her death is not believed to be suspicious. Authorities confirmed that a report would be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal, Scotland's legal body responsible for prosecutions and death investigations. Santra was last seen on CCTV at an Asda supermarket in Almond Vale, Livingston, on the evening of December 6th. Following her disappearance, police issued an urgent missing person appeal, describing her as approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall, of Indian ethnicity, with a slim build and short black hair. Inspector Alison Laurie from Corstorphine Police Station shared further details, stating, "We now know that Santra picked up a black and white shopper-style bag from an address in Burnvale on Friday evening, but she no longer had it when she entered the supermarket. This bag is quite distinctive, and someone may recall seeing her carrying it. We continue to analyze CCTV footage and have released images from the supermarket in hopes that someone recognizes her." Santra's disappearance was described by friends and family as highly out of character. Deeply concerned for her well-being, they had grown increasingly worried in the days following her sudden vanishing. The last time she was seen, she was wearing a grey jacket with a fur-lined hood. Her family also noted that she often wears a black face mask and grey earmuffs in cold weather. In the CCTV footage, she had her mask on, though it is unclear whether she was also wearing the earmuffs, as her hood was up. Anyone who has seen Santra or has any information about her movements on December 6th is asked to contact Police Scotland by calling 101 and quoting incident number 3390. 46-year-old Sarah West, who lives in Scrabo, England, has been missing for more than 3 years, and investigators are no closer to solving her case, despite CCTV footage being found of her on the day before she vanished. The last time Sarah was seen was at about 7:30 a.m. on the 25th of April, 2021. She was seen walking along the A156, which is situated close to Con Bay. It has been suggested that she then walked along the Cleveland Way path. This has raised some concerns since the path is close to a set of cliffs. However, no evidence has been found that she was in this area, and that theory remains speculative. At the time, investigators asked that any motorists who were traveling in the area that day contact them in case they had even the smallest bit of information that could help locate Sarah. However, only a few witnesses came forward, and no further helpful information was received. They also asked people to check their dash cams and CCTV cameras in case they caught footage of Sarah before she went missing. A CCTV image was released, showing Sarah wearing the same clothes she had on when she disappeared, in hopes that it would jog someone's memory, but to no avail. Search efforts were immediately put in place, with the searches being most heavily concentrated on the coastline as well as the Cleveland Way footpath, but nothing was found. When search efforts failed, her family made a plea for people in the area to keep an eye out for her and to contact the authorities if they spotted her. They also spoke to Sarah during the plea, asking her to come home and reminding her that they loved her, no matter what had happened. They added that they were concerned about her health and desperately wanted her to come home so that they could support her. They also mentioned that they would help her find the treatment that she needed, though it is not clear what this was about. Investigators have launched fresh appeals every year since Sarah went missing, but have received no new leads, and her fate remains unknown. However, investigators have assured her family that the case remains open and is still being actively investigated. Anyone who has any information on Sarah's whereabouts is urged to dial 101, or if you have an immediate sighting, call emergency services at 999. Investigators from Childers in Queensland, Australia, have released CCTV security footage of 82-year-old Peter Hodgkins, who's gone missing from that area. Since then, they've been unable to locate him. Peter went missing on the 19th of May, 2024, and has not been seen or heard from since. The police have made an urgent appeal for members of the public to keep a lookout for him in case he's spotted. The last time that he was seen, Peter was captured on CCTV security footage from an aged care facility on Moore Street when he left the building at around 6:46 p.m. It was reported that he then started walking south towards Broader Street. But it isn't known what happened to him after that, as he's not made contact with anyone who knows him. In the footage, Peter and another man can be seen exiting the building. He then points off into the distance while talking to the other man. But the footage doesn't seem to show which direction he walked in after that. A search of the area where he was last seen was conducted with the aid of drones, trail bikes, and on foot when he was reported missing. But no sign of him or his belongings was found. The search for Peter is still ongoing, and investigators have asked people residing in the area to check their security footage in case their cameras spot him after he was last seen. If such footage is found, it might help ascertain a timeline of his disappearance, as well as offer clues to his last known movements. This will give searchers a better idea of where to search and give them a better chance of locating Peter. It's also been suggested that he may be in the Townsville area, and so people living in that area have been asked to stay vigilant. Emergency services staff have stated that they're increasingly worried about Peter, since he's known to suffer from dementia, and since temperatures in the area are set to fall with the onset of winter in the southern hemisphere. Peter is said to be a frail individual, and so he would have a tough time surviving while exposed to the elements for too long. Investigators have used every resource available to them to help find Peter, but to date, they've been unable to locate him. Searches of the bushland near the aged care home where Peter stayed have been carried out, but these have failed to provide any further clues. It's also been suggested that Peter was picked up by a well-meaning motorist and driven somewhere else, since they may not have known that he was a missing person who was being searched for. At one point, the police received a tip that the missing man was seen on Thompson Road. But when the area was searched, he was nowhere to be found, and it remains unclear whether this was Peter who was seen. Houses in that area are being searched, and a search and rescue headquarters has been set up at the Childers police station, so that any incoming information can be processed as quickly as possible. Investigators have also stated that anyone who wants to volunteer in the search can do so by contacting the Childers police station. In the CCTV footage, Peter can be seen wearing blue jeans, a blue polo shirt, brown shoes, and a dark coat. If you've seen Peter or know where he may be, you're asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000. Tips can be submitted online by using the Police Link Suspicious Activity form. 84-year-old Elena Roy and Chris Catallo from Fallbrook, California, had been a couple for 14 years. On November 3rd, they got into an argument, after which Elena left their house around 1:30 p.m. to go for a walk and clear her head. Chris expected her to be gone for a short while, but when she failed to return, he became concerned and contacted the police to file a missing person report. He informed investigators that she would be turning 84 in a few days, and her family confirmed she wasn't in the habit of just disappearing. She was known to enjoy walking, but always returned home after about an hour. Worryingly, she also showed signs of dementia over the previous few years, adding further concerns for her safety. During their inquiries, investigators found surveillance footage from a grocery outlet store that showed Elena in the building, but they added that the footage was taken on the day before she disappeared. As soon as news of Elena's disappearance became public, hundreds of volunteers aided in the search for her in and around Fallbrook, but no sign of her was found. As many as 60 search and rescue crews combed the area with the help of a helicopter. But this also didn't provide any further clues, despite the search lasting 2 full days. Elena's bank accounts were monitored, but showed no activity. This was later discovered to be normal, since only Chris ever used the account to withdraw funds from time to time. Elena hadn't used the account for about 2 years. Her family stated that Elena was very close with them, and that she wouldn't stay out of touch for so long without reason. They expressed their frustration with Chris, since he only contacted them about the disappearance at 8:45 that evening, telling them they shouldn't panic. When asked why he waited so long, he could give no good explanation, other than he was driving around looking for Elena, and finally decided to contact them when it started to get dark. They also found it strange that Chris let her walk away on her own, since he'd recently started accompanying her on her walks due to her worsening condition. He also stated that he didn't contact anyone in the neighborhood while searching for her, since he didn't want to wake anyone up. It then came to light that Elena had been picked up by the side of the road by a fireman once in the past. He noticed her walking alone and took her to the sheriff's station. But when Chris came to collect her, he acted as if he didn't really care, which the fireman found suspicious. Chris has since stated that Elena had started distancing herself from the rest of the family, but they denied these claims, stating that they were as close as they'd always been. 3 months later, Chris asked one of the family members to get her belongings, but when she did so, she realized that he was having a garage sale and had put many of Elena's belongings up for sale. The family also took exception to the fact that he kept referring to Elena in the past tense, and that he stated during an interview that he was thinking of relocating somewhere else, since there was now nothing keeping him in Fallbrook. A $10,000 reward is being offered to anyone who provides investigators with information leading to Elena being found. Anyone with such information can contact the San Diego Sheriff's Department Homicide Unit at 858-285-6286. Alternatively, you can contact their anonymous tip line at 888-580-8-4-7-7. When Catherine ACKLING Bryan didn't show up to pick up her 2 daughters from school, her husband Michael immediately grew worried. Within just half an hour, she was reported missing. Michael soon uncovered that Catherine had been acting oddly all day. That morning, Catherine took her daughters to school in an unusual state. Her younger daughter was still in her pajamas, a first for the family, stemming from an accident the child had the previous day due to illness. Initially, Catherine planned to keep her daughter home, but she changed her mind at the last minute. After dropping off the children, Catherine briefly returned home at 10:30 a.m. She later dropped off some items at the school before taking a bus to a shopping center. CCTV footage from St. Mary Village Center showed her visiting a Target store where she bought clothes for her daughters. At 12:17 p.m., she was seen leaving the shopping center. What happened after Catherine left the mall remains a mystery. While no further footage of her was found, it is believed she returned home, as the new clothes were discovered there, and she had prepared a meal in a slow cooker. However, by 3:30 p.m., Catherine had vanished without a trace. When the school called Michael, he thought she might have overslept during a nap. But upon checking the house, he found it empty, with her phone and purse left behind, but her house keys missing. The police launched an immediate investigation into her disappearance. Over the following year, officials and Catherine's family made multiple appeals for information. Despite these efforts, no additional CCTV footage surfaced, and no witnesses appeared. Authorities do not suspect foul play in Catherine's disappearance. She had a history of mental health issues and was under significant stress at the time, particularly due to her daughter's recent illness, which had visibly upset her. During the walk to school, her children noticed she had tears in her eyes. Catherine's family believes she is no longer alive, yet her body has never been found. As a result, her disappearance remains unresolved. Stephen Clark, a 54-year-old loving and caring father, was well liked in the community of Wham, Dorset, England, where he lived with his family. Despite his cheerful disposition, Stephen had faced significant health challenges in recent years, having been diagnosed with Huntington's disease, a hereditary condition that progressively impairs brain function. His family noticed the disease affecting his memory and coordination, and did everything they could to ensure he led a happy and comfortable life. Panic set in for Stephen's family when he disappeared in late January 2023. On the morning of January 6th, 2023, Stephen followed his usual routine. Witnesses reported seeing him in a shop in Wham around 9 a.m. Later, locals spotted him outside the Garden Gate tea room at approximately 10:30 a.m. When Stephen failed to return home, his family became alarmed and contacted the Dorset police. Given Stephen's health conditions, the Dorset police quickly launched a search operation. CCTV footage revealed Stephen's last known movements, showing him walking down Bell's Orchard Lane at around 11:23 a.m. After this, he mysteriously vanished, and there have been no further sightings or communications from him since. The local community has shown immense support for Stephen's family. The Dorset Police, in collaboration with the Dorset Coast Guard, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, RNLI, and the Hampshire Search and Rescue Team, have conducted extensive searches. The Dorset Police suspect Stephen may have fallen into the River Frome or the River Piddle, and both rivers have been thoroughly searched, but to no avail. To uncover any possible clues, the Dorset Police are now appealing to motorists who were in Wham on January 6th to review their dashcam footage. Over 400 homes and properties have been searched in an effort to find Stephen, yet leads have yet to emerge. Stephen Clark is described as a white male with brown hair, standing 5 feet 1 inch tall, of slim build and using a golden walking stick. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Dorset Police on 101, quoting case number 5523-4390. In December 2020, the case of 38-year-old NATARN AULD from Brisbane, Australia, raised more questions than answers. NATARN was last seen on the 14th of December, telling a friend she planned to visit a store to buy cigarettes. Her disappearance initially suggested foul play, but as the investigation progressed, an alternative, tragic theory emerged. CCTV footage captured NATARN walking alone along Redland Bay Road later that evening. She was seen stopping at a BP service station, where she purchased a cup of coffee and some food. This footage was the last confirmed sighting of her. For 2 months, investigators worked tirelessly to uncover her whereabouts, yet no further security footage or witnesses emerged. Her disappearance became even more perplexing as her bank and social media accounts showed no activity after that day. However, tracking her phone provided a critical lead. Initially, it remained stationary for approximately 40 minutes near Redland Bay Road. After this, it began moving northward toward Brisbane. Investigators suspected she still had the phone with her during this time, guiding them to focus their search on specific areas. A breakthrough in the case came when investigators learned of NATARN's habit of rummaging through charity bins. This led to a chilling new theory. NATARN might have been rummaging through a bin when she fell asleep inside. Unbeknownst to her, the bin could have been emptied into a trash truck. This theory aligned with the movements of her phone, which followed the exact route of a garbage truck heading toward Northgate, where waste is deposited. Searches at various garbage drop-off points, bushland near industrial areas, and even Nudgee Creek were conducted, but none yielded any sign of NATARN. Despite extensive efforts, no personal items such as her clothing, handbag, or phone were recovered, leaving investigators without definitive proof to confirm this theory. Her absence has weighed heavily on her family. NATARN has missed important family events and birthdays, which further suggests that she likely met with harm. Although investigators don't believe foul play was involved, they continue to search for evidence that could bring closure. NATARN's daughter has taken to social media multiple times, appealing to anyone who might have seen her mother or has any information about her movements that night. Unfortunately, these pleas have not produced any new leads. As of today, nearly 3 years later, NATARN remains missing. The lack of concrete evidence or witnesses has made her case an agonizing mystery for her loved ones. With each passing day, the likelihood of finding answers diminishes, leaving her family in an unbearable limbo. Her case remains open, but it stands as a stark reminder of how quickly hope can fade when only speculation fills the void.